Hey, Bill of Lost Souls fan, Psyberwolfe here again, and today we're going to be discussing a real simple technique that a lot of people talk about and use in various painting applications, but we don't ever really get to see it a whole lot in front of our faces. And many times I've demonstrated this technique for people, and when they've actually got to see it in person, this technique has made a lot more sense for them. And so this is a real basic technique for a lot of people, but there's some other discussion going on here. So what we're going to talk about today is dry brushing. Dry brushing is one of the most simplest techniques. It will give you really great results really quick. What we usually see when we're dry brushing is a very simple application of paint. What you are doing is that you are letting the brush and the surface that you're working with do a lot of the work for you, instead of going in and actually doing the work by hand and getting a lot of the stuff taken care of by application, little bit at a time. So we're going to just discuss some of this. My personal favorite when it comes to dry brushing, let's first talk about what I like using. I like to use a filbert brush, and I'm going to get some here. I love the filbert brush. There are a lot of reasons why the filbert brush is a great brush. This is my terrain filbert brush. I use this for mostly terrain and very large applications like tanks and things of that nature. The thing I like about the filbert is this rounded head that it has. What it allows it to do is it gives you a lot more pickup of paint, and so the brush is able to really do a lot of great work for you. This is also another filbert brush, about the same size but a little shorter because I've used it over time, and filberts will a lot of times wear down over time and with application. These are my filbert brushes for when I am doing figure painting, and I like to use these for the same reason. They do the exact same work. Unfortunately, I could not find, these are natural hair, these are mongoose hair brushes. The only problem is that I could only find the ones that were in artist handle length, so they are a little bit unwieldy at times, but that's okay because I'm a huge fan of natural fiber brushes. I'm also a big fan of one rule that I like to use a lot when it comes to painting, and a bigger brush is always better. And a lot of people say, well, don't you use this size brush, like this 20/0 brush? I don't. I never use that. The best types of brushes are brushes that are high quality brushes that'll give you a nice point and be able to go through, and actually the point itself is doing the work. And if you're able to get away with a real large belly brush, like a number 1 for example, which is my workhorse brush, it actually can hold a lot more paint and apply a lot more paint. So today, real quick, in this quick demonstration, we're going to use two types of paint. I'm going to show you once on terrain, and then I'm going to show you once on a figure, just so you guys get a rough idea of how it's supposed to look. First off, when painting terrain, please save yourself the money and buy yourself like this Craft Smart stuff, or Delta Coat, Cream Coat, or Apple Barrel paint. It's just going to save you money. I get these for anywhere from $1 to $1 or $2. This one has 8 fluid ounces, as opposed to Games Workshop's measly ½ ounce to 3/4 ounce, depending on when you bought the bottle. So they're great. Don't get me wrong, figure paints are really good and can give you a wide variety of color. However, you could just take your figure paint down with you to the craft store and find craft paint that is the exact same color in a quantity that will outstrip what you're getting on that, and you'll be able to knock out a lot of terrain. So it's really in your best interest to get craft paint for doing terrain. So I'm going to show you on 2 pieces. Number 1 piece we're going to do is a little bit from this modular hill piece that is made by Games Workshop. What I'm going to just do today is I'm going to be dry brushing in the rocks right now, because that's easy and it'll show a lot of what we're working on, and it's a great piece for dry brushing. The second one I was going to do a quick number on is, of course, your standard Space Marine. I play Dark Angels. Don't get me started on that. That's a whole nother issue. If you want to read about opinions about Dark Angels, read what Goat Boy has to say. Anyway, we'll do a marine and we'll do some terrain. I'm going to reset the camera and then we'll get rolling on that. All right. Alright guys, here we are. I got the paint prepared. What I used is I used 3 colors to prepare my color that I was going to dry brush with. I used a large portion of this black, this color that is somewhat like graveyard earth. It's a little darker, but it's roughly the color of graveyard earth. And then this off-white color that is an ivory color. It's a great color for doing terrain. I'm not a huge fan of pure white. I have pure white here because pure white really doesn't add a whole lot to the party except for lightening it up, and I like nuances of color. So I mixed it up. I made this real warm gray color which works very, very well on stone. Of course I have this primed in black. I used Duplicolor's sandable primer. It's real cheap. It's good stuff. Goes on nice and smooth. So I'm going to quickly dry brush this up and you'll get to see. Now, as you see in every dry brushing tutorial, you get to see the paper towel. This will really help you when it comes to dry brushing. You're going to be able to really see how it's going to look and go from there. First off, we dip our brush in, get paint on the brush, and you see how it's wet there. Now, we wick it off. Alright? Now, because I'm using such a large brush, I'm actually going to have to wick off a lot more, but I'm going to be able to get a lot of work in on one brush load. So, when you're dry brushing, you're not scrubbing it. Oh, I didn't get enough off there. Alright? That is primary rule number 1. You are not scrubbing. Do not scrub. You are lightly whisking your brush back and forth and in various directions, because let me show you. Here we go. Step 1, here we go. We're wicking it across and we're getting it all down in there. Alright, now if you notice, it only goes in one direction here and I'm missing a lot of stuff. Well, the light's not coming from this direction, but if I wanted it to come from this direction, it would have a really neat effect, but that's not what we're going for here. So, go back against the other way. What it does is it gives you a really kind of setup. Now, I'm going to get quick about this, and I'm just going to go back and forth. And I'm going to just get this all handled real quick here. And if you notice, in less time than it takes to do anything, I have pretty much dry brushed this entire stone area with a really nice looking setup. Now I could game with this just as it is right now, but I wouldn't. I'm going to probably go in and add another highlight or two. But I now have a very operational piece that looks really nice, and it didn't take a whole lot of work to get it done. I just took it. Now if you notice on this groundwork, which is a lot like the sand you're using if you're just on the base of your models, see how it's just picking that up? It picks it up really nice and beautiful and ends up doing that. Now my brush was a little wet, so you're seeing some sheen here right now, and that's okay. On terrain pieces, sometimes you're doing more also an alternative style which uses the dry brush style but is called overbrushing, which is loading your brush with paint and not really taking the paint off and brushing it in. But that is how it looks on terrain.